Mermaid Junkies, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I am trying to give you guys video every day this week. I'm doing good so far, since Monday, I guess, right? Okay, so today, actually, I want to talk about nurturing and caring for yourself, taking care of yourself. And the reason that I was prompted by this was I was talking with one of my close friends, and we were just talking about the different things in life, and I had posted this status on my social media yesterday, and I didn't even think about it, but it was kind of like a little inspirational moment. And then we kind of talked, my friend and I talked about it a little bit more, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally inspired. I think I should totally do a video about this. Because don't you think it's very often that women, you know, when you start to put other people before yourself and you start pinching yourself off from your internal being, you start to nurture and pay attention to other people. And especially a lot of times, I think mothers can identify with this, but even if you're not a mother and you have noticed that you might be doing this with your spouse or your partner or your significant other, is that so often we begin ignoring our own personal desires and needs and things that make us happy first and foremost by putting these other people first. So I thought that I would give a couple of little ideas, and I just thought that it was a really fun little subject, and it's not anything like to write home about, you know, like significant, but I also think that it's just a little something that I was inspired to talk about today. So, and what sparked it was I was chatting with my friend, and she said, I don't know, you know, what's the reason, but I stopped doing certain things in my life that I loved. Like I was talking about yesterday, you know, wearing certain clothes. And then there gets to a point to where like I stopped, after I stopped dressing the way that I wanted to and desired to, I stopped eating certain foods that I liked because we could never, you know, it was like, no one ever wanted to eat at the restaurant that I wanted to. It was always everybody else. Everybody else gets to choose. So I would just suck it up and just say, oh, it's not a big deal, when it really, really is a big deal. It's just gradually these little teeny things like not putting lotion on your legs. For whatever reason, you stop doing that, or lighting candles when you take a bubble bath, or reading books that you love to read because you just feel like you don't have any time because you haven't made the time for yourself. You put other people first, and you don't take that time to meditate. You don't take that time to nurture your own spirit and feed your soul, right? So I think the thing that I had said in the post was that I love that one of the ways that I have found through my own personal transformational journey is that I have brought back all of those beautiful little things that made me happy. And for starters, I'll talk about just a couple of those things. And it's really, you know, even if it's a gradual little thing and you do one little thing today and you do that for a couple of months or whatever, and then you incorporate these other little things that make you happy, it'll all start to, like, over a span of time, you'll realize that you're back to like, oh my gosh, I'm totally transforming back into that person that I was before, right? And so one of those things was that I loved certain smells, like certain smells trigger me. And you know, even if your significant other or your children or somebody doesn't like a particular smell, like whereas before I would just like stop using that particular scent. And I'm like, why did I stop doing that? Because that made me happy. And one of those is like the Christmas tree smell. And so I was like, I'm going to spray that stuff in the summertime if I really want to. You know what I mean? Like if it makes me happy and it makes me feel good inside and makes me have a happy spirit, then I'm going to do it. And so that's just, you know, obviously sense is a huge component in our lives too, because our sensory levels are really activated by those triggers of happy moments in our life, from our, you know, one of the five senses, which is smell. So I noticed that, you know, okay, well, I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start getting the candles that I like, and you like the candles, because, you know, it got to the point to where it was like, why do you like candles? That's a waste of money, and they just burn down to nothing, and you don't have anything to show for it. And I'm just like, yeah, but every day you have something to show for it, because that makes me happy. happy is to light candles in the morning or in the evening and wait for my beloved gardener to come home, and it's, you know, cozy and comfy and it's romantic, and I've always loved it. And so what? You can go to the Dollar Tree and get candles for $1, you know, and I just think that it's so important that we really, really focus on making ourselves happy. And you know what? It permeates. When you are happy and you desire to make yourself happy, it permeates to the entire world. That's how love works. When you love yourself, you're able to have the capacity to love everyone, and that just permeates the entire world. It's true, love does make the world go around, you know? So anyway, like I wanted to say that I loved, like I was saying that in the post, that I made my magical mermaid peanut butter cookies. And I was talking about the fact that, you know, in my recipe books, I decided that I was going to make everything that I cook or anything that I make, I'm going to put beautiful, happy little fun things on there. Magical mermaid cookies sounds so much better than peanut butter cookies. You know what I mean? And so if you create this sense of fairy tale, imaginative, creative, beautiful world, everyone loves that. They might not know or be able to articulate it to you, but they love it. And they know that there's something about you, or there's something that, you know, that's brimming within you, but they don't really know, like, why everything's so lovely that you touch. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a fairy in fairy dust. So this is a prime example, is that children are conditioned out of this behavior from the time when we start doing this as parents, you know? But this is a prime example, okay? So of me making, and I didn't realize I did it until this one particular day this happened, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really actually doing what I had always desired to in my own life, right? And so when my kids were going to elementary school, we didn't have a lot of money. Like, for a long, long time, we didn't have a lot of money. But I never wanted my children to know that I never wanted to hear, like, we're poor, we don't have money. Like, I always pretended that, like, we're really wealthy, because in love and everything I felt really, really lovely as far as that goes, and had lots of wealth and abundance from being a mother and that kind of thing. And so I always wanted to create this beautiful fairy tale world for my children, even though in my marriage, like, it wasn't a fairy tale, but my children believed that for the longest time, and so many other people did as well, right? So my kids were going to school, and it was like, I'm sure you can relate to this, girls, is that, like, we were waiting for payday. It was a Friday. We didn't have any money. I couldn't go to the grocery store. And I think I had like a heel of bread and one slice of regular bread, right? And so I was like, what am I gonna do? Both of my boys need sandwiches for lunch, because I always did holistic things, so I never wanted them to eat school lunches. So I was like, okay, well, I wanted to always pack their lunch. And so I only had like basically one slice of bread that wasn't a heel. And I was like, what am I gonna do? They've gotta have something to eat, you know? And so I just decided that I was gonna create little metaphors for them. You know what I mean? Little finger sandwiches. And so they didn't know that. And I just made it seem like it was just the most beautiful, lovely thing, and cut them in cookie cutter shapes, you know, and little hearts. So they got little heart sandwiches, and there was only enough for like them one each, I think, and or two each, but they were tiny, because I had to use the heel on one side. Well, when they got home, it was so sweet, because you know what they said? They said, Mommy, can you make us those little bitty those little teeny sandwiches again for our lunch tomorrow? We loved those. I think Carter's actually the one that said it. And I was just like, I had not the heart to tell them, like, that was Mommy's desperation of trying to make things lovely. But it actually worked. And you see, like, from then on out, I always made them cut cute little sandwiches. And they had little finger sandwiches, like little tea sandwiches. And so that's just a prime example of making, you know, something lovely when it actually isn't. And so is that living in a fairy tale world, not being realistic? Yeah. And I will totally bury my head in the sand and continue to live that way, because that is what makes the world go round, is having beauty and seeing happiness and joy and beauty in every single thing that is going on in our lives. And so no matter what, if you choose to see the good, that's the only thing that you'll see. And that's the only thing that will radiate within you, is that goodness, right? So I wanted to share that with you. And I also wanted to say that if you have the desire to start slowly incorporating those things, this is a little exercise that I can give you that will help you to be able to do that. So and I started that earlier, but I was saying with my girlfriend about putting lotion on her. And I thought, okay, well, so what you have to do is with each particular thing, right? If you decide that, maybe it's not such a fun thing, or maybe you don't like necessarily, maybe ironing clothes, okay? So let's just pretend it's ironing clothes or doing the dishes or cooking. I could give you a scenario of every single thing, but okay, so let's go with doing the dishes maybe. What you could do if you don't like to do dishes, but you want to learn to incorporate and make it fun, because that's how I taught my children all to love cleaning. And I know that sounds weird, but I made it fun for them. And I did it along with them, because that's the worst thing that you can do, is for children to tell them to go do something, but you're never the one you're not going along and you're not helping to plant a garden. You're just go do this, go mow the grass, and you're not training them and enjoying it in the process. You're never going to get people to enjoy things, especially children. Children learn by doing, and they want to make it fun. That is their natural tendency, is to have joy in everything they do. You're picking crops and stuff and you start having a seed fight, or you start pulling things and you have a dirt fight. I mean, that's what children do, and that's our internal intuitive nature, is to do that, but we're conditioned out of it once again. So if you like to do dishes, or you don't like to do something, think about ways that you can incorporate making it fun. What I do, I love to do dishes. It's become a very beautiful therapeutic for me, and it always has been. Because I'll listen to music while I'm doing it, I'll sing, or I'll turn on Christmas music when I'm doing the dishes, and listening to books on tape while I'm doing it, listen to a comedy routine on YouTube or something in the background while I'm doing it. And then before you realize it, talk to a girlfriend while you're doing dishes. Have you ever noticed you get off the phone, you're like, holy crap, I cleaned my whole house, didn't even realize I was doing it while I was talking, chatting away. It's because we're so used to women, because we have so many facets of ourselves, that we're such good intuitive, naturally it comes to us that we are multitaskers. We're very good with that. And so if you're doing other things that are making you happy along with that, you will learn to, what happens in the brain is you will begin to build a belief system that when you're doing a particular thing, even though you're not liking the one thing, but if you're doing other things in conjunction with it, that multitasking begins to blend itself into one thought process, and you create a new belief, and then you therefore you will learn to love doing dishes. I promise you, it's a known psychological fact. I studied psychology, so I know that actually works, because I've done it on myself too. So just like I'm saying, just, if you miss putting lotion on your legs and you haven't done it in a long time, go to Bath and Body Works, or find it. I mean, if you loved that your grandmother used to smell like shower to shower powder, or she liked rose petal lotion, maybe you can find that scent and it reminds you of her when you put it on your legs and you're making yourself beautiful, and tell yourself how much you love, your beautiful shaved legs. And it's just all in incorporating these kind of little teeny intricate little things that will make you love your life. And so that is what I want to inspire you to do, is to create a life you love. And so I hope this served you, and I'm sure it was a little bit of rambling, but I always like to talk to you guys like I'm girlfriends with you, and we're sitting at the house chatting it away, because Oliver, as much as I love and adore Oliver, he doesn't talk back. Okay, well, like I said, if you want to give a mermaid her fins, just click below and subscribe. And as always, I'm yours until my next swim. Ciao!